Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong.
You have an amazing opportunity, young generation, to rise above and be proud of the choices you're making and get out of the codependent culture and be responsible for you and work harder in your life than anyone else ever will.
What do you want? What do you want out of your life? Where do you want to go? If no one else will fight, I'll be the one. I'll be the one to step into their world. I'll be the one to walk with them.
And I mean it more than you'll ever know.
Some people will ghost you. Well, then maybe they're not real friends. At some point in time in your life, you are gonna have to come face to face with yourself.
Next time I'm getting it right. Will you believe me if I say this is the last time?
And then she points at me and she goes, there's greatness inside of you. Sometimes we need people to believe things for us until we can believe it for ourselves. Because I look at what I'm doing now and it's not lining up with what they said I couldn't do. And now I'm doing everything that people said I couldn't do. Because now I travel the world and I share my story.
Next time I'll get it right, but for now I'll stay right here where I belong.
And by the time I was 26, I was sitting in 30-day inpatient treatment for alcohol. My family wanted nothing to do with me, couldn't hold a job. I was codependent, all because I thought I could get away with it. I should probably have about 10 DUIs, I only have 2. My last one was June 24th, 2010. That was the DUI that changed my life.
For it to hurt more, to stay the same. When I get through this storm, I'll find it on my own. And I'll mean it more than you'll ever know.
And so I'm going to talk about connection and belonging. We're looking for a place to belong where someone can come out and say, hey, we want you here. I want you here. We want you around. We say we live in such a connected world. If that's the case, if we really say we're more connected, then why is everybody more depressed?
There's no dumb kid, there's no worthless kid. There's only kids that have been starved of love and have been wounded so badly, they're just looking for a place to lay. We can't change the history, but we can help shape their future.
Next time I'm getting it right.
Take one thing that you want to focus on to overcome in your life. Take one thing at a time and walk through the process. The process is only a process if one stays in it. If you don't stay in the process, then it's no longer a process.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pure Purpose Podcast. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Man, this has just been a ball. This has been fun for me. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm having the time of my life doing this. So this is actually from one of our listeners. They've been there from probably pretty close to the beginning, maybe a few months after, but they've been there for the most part from the beginning. And so they were actually talking. There's a lot that they emailed about, but I do believe that we got it down to really what they were asking me. And so today we're going to talk about forming belief systems, okay? We're going to talk about existing belief systems that you may have and how to form new ones, okay? Some of your belief systems that you have are amazing. They're beneficial for you. Some of them are damaging, okay? After this episode, you should be able to tell yourself and really be aware and really look at, am I believing the right things or do I need to upgrade my belief system? Okay, so the first thing that you have to do, there's going to be 3 key components with this that we're going to get to, okay? But I'm going to talk about what are you believing. I'm going to talk about really how those 3 components are probably the majority cause of your belief system that you have to this point in your life. So you got to ask yourself, what am I believing? So say that with me. What am I believing? And then here's the 3 components. The first one is this. From a very young age, there's things being instilled inside of you. Lots of things that your parents are giving you. Some of it may be amazing. Some of it may not be that amazing. Some of it may be tons of love. Others may be lack of love. Some of it may be compassion and care and really learning and growing and how to navigate life. And some of it may be shame. And some of it may be just condemnation and beat down. Okay, so that is a lot of early on how our belief systems are formed. If you only yell in your house, that's how you're going to think you interact with the world around you. Okay, The family dynamic that you grow up in is big on what you believe. I know for many years, I had a belief of things that did not serve me and actually became very damaging to me over time and became big, big roadblocks in my life until I had to learn new things. The second thing is the experiences that you've lived. Okay, those create belief systems. Some of it may be hurt from people. Some of it may be a fear of something. Let's say you got in a car wreck, so you're afraid to be honest, drive, or whatever it may be. You can go down the list. We all have tons of fears. And so a lot of our belief systems about the experiences we lived actually will shape how we protect ourselves in our lives, okay? How we bring people into those lives, how we exit people out of our lives, right? What we do for what we believe about politics, what we believe. I mean, even a region that you live in that's an experience lived, and you're going to think certain ways, certain belief systems, okay? This is big in racism, right? I'm just going to talk about this. A lot of things are formed from even racism to its core. You learn that behavior. So if you grew up in the 60s in the South and there really is racism, because my dad experienced racism. I talk about that a lot with people. My dad experienced racism growing up in Texas in the 60s. Those are all learned behaviors. Those are experiences that they lived, okay? And then it can be both ways. If something's happened to black people, white people, not even just black and white people, right? But it's all about your experiences, okay? Your experiences lived. My experience would be my belief system about alcohol. I believe alcohol is dangerous, very dangerous, and it's a learned behavior again. Okay? And then with experience lived is wounds. What wounds have you experienced in life? Okay, those are all shaping what you believe. Again, that just goes back to maybe you've been hurt by people. Okay, for me, one of my beliefs is I do not like bees. I've been stung by a bee before when I was a young kid, and since then I have hated bees with a passion. And so if you, I got my admin in the room right now. I think the other day she actually saw me run from a wasp so fast. I was at a baseball game. And so if you see bees, wasps, I'm running. Like, you're not going to find me. Okay, that's a lot of what I'm believing. Here's what it comes down to with your belief system. If you have a belief system that is anything but beneficial, if it's weighing you down, if it weighs other people down, whatever it may be, there is only one thing that will help you change it. And it's getting to the root of the fear that you believe about it. Every single belief system, let's say it's a bad belief system, right? Every single belief system is rooted in fear, okay? Like if you have a belief system of no one's ever going to stay in my life because people always leave, the root fear is that you do not want to be alone. You've been alone your life. In your life, there's things that people have neglected with you. And so there's a root fear that you believe that no matter what, people will never stay in my life. Okay, you have to get to the root fear of that. The roots, when you pull those out, that's the only way there's lasting change. I would love to tell you the symptoms, if we address those, can change things. It's only temporary. They won't last long because the next person that comes along that bumps it, tugs on that root, it's going to come spilling out again. So you have to get to the root. So the question that I want you to ask is, what am I fearing? What are the insecurities I have in my life? What are the fears that I have in my life that I need to overcome? More importantly, what are the belief systems that I've formed through those fears that have actually made my life more miserable and not more joyful? Okay, so we have to get to that place where we understand where are the root fears, okay? I want to also get to one other thing, because belief systems come into, especially if you have negative belief systems, right? It's just, a negative belief system could be, I hate my life. I can't stand life. Life is this, life is that. I know people that it's always just doom and gloom. That's a negative belief system. They expect the worst all the time. And when you start expecting the worst and believing the worst, you get more of the worst. Okay. And with all of that, I believe comes one of the biggest and most heart-wrenching and just hard things to watch, and that's self-sabotage, the self-sabotage cycle that comes along with that. Okay? I was in it for many years. For many years, when things would go contrary to what I believed, to what my belief systems were, when they'd go any other way than that, I would sabotage. I would absolutely sabotage. And I would say, this feels too weird to me. I'm going to just run from this. And when we get away from this, then I'll go back and look at it. This is big in relationships, not even just romantic, but platonic mainly. What we can do is we get to a place where we sabotage, right? We put the walls up and we say, okay, this is what it is. But a lot of times, you know what it really comes down to? It comes down to the fact that you think they're going to leave anyway, so you'd rather be the reason than have to deal with them being the reason. So you can blame yourself. I did that for many years. I can blame myself when they leave. I don't have to blame them. They're going anyways. Okay, how do we get out of the self-sabotage cycle? But here's what we do. It comes down to belief awareness. This is how you get out. There's 3 components to this. Here's how you get out of the self-sabotage cycle. Belief awareness. Where are you assessing your beliefs? Okay, you have to continually assess the beliefs, and you have to check what you're believing. I think I said a while back on this podcast, a lot of us don't know what we believe, but we want people to agree with what we don't know that we believe, right? And you have to, what do I believe? What am I believing? First, tell me, I could tell you right now, if you're believing the worst about people, you need a new belief system. You need a new belief system. Belief awareness. I would go back literally monthly if I were you and start checking what you're believing. What am I believing? Is it real or is it fake? Okay. A big exercise you could do is write down lies on one side of a piece of paper with a T-chart and truth on the other, and you can do it. What are the lies that I'm believing? If you're believing more lies than truth, you have a belief system that needs to be upgraded. Okay? So understand belief awareness. Have people, I've said this on here before, check your blind spots. They'll be able to help you with what you're believing. Okay? They'll be able to help you with that. It may not be fun to hear at first, but after a while, you will get used to it. I promise. Okay? This happens in my life. Okay? Second thing, here's how you get out of the self-sabotage cycle. The education. You have to educate yourself on internal growth. You want to really get to a different place? Go learn about your family patterns, your generational cycles that your family has went through for decades and years. Okay? Education on your internal growth. You need to find out what your family's been through. Some of us, when you're slaying your giants, right? You want to go slay your giants. You can't slay giants that you don't know you are there. You have to know what you're fighting, right? Maybe it's molestation. Maybe it's murder, okay? Addiction. There's a lot of things that run in family cycles. You have to know what you're fighting in order to slay it, right? You can't go in blind. You're not going to see your target. So you have to know. Educate yourself on internal growth. Educate yourself on brain science. And what happens when I believe one thing for too long? What happens when I'm addicted to one thing for too long? You create those neural pathways. Educate yourself on internal growth. There's amazing resources out there for this. Okay, you have to understand what you are fighting. Start with your family. You may have to go to someone that is not your parents. You may have to go to someone that maybe holds the family I was reading a book recently and talked about the person that held the family secrets. You might need to find that person. If you don't know what you're fighting, you're never going to know your enemy, right? And we have to get the right enemies. Sometimes we point the sword at people that we need to be fighting with together, not each other, okay? And the last thing would be healing. We have to get to the healing. This is how you overcome the self-sabotage cycle. You have to heal. Okay, now you know your beliefs. You know that some are good, some are not great. You have more that are not great than are good. Okay, we got there. And then we got to the education on internal growth. Okay, what is something in my family? What is one thing I've been struggling with? On internal growth, honestly, just look at the thing that keeps constantly coming to the surface. What is that one thing? That's how you know it's time to go after it. And you have to heal. This could be with a counselor. Okay, this could be with people that are close to you and that will help you walk it out, that will give you a safe place to be broken and show compassion and show you grace when that time is needed. Okay, these are all components that's going to help you stop the self-sabotage cycle. I understand that working on this is not easy. I get that 110%. It's not easy. It's not easy to grow, but I can tell you that it will be worth it. And if you slay your giants, your kids won't have to one day. But more importantly, you're going to actually have a life that you can be proud of and enjoy. No one wants to live a life of pain. That's not fun. And after a while, you're going to want something different. After a while, you're going to want to stop losing it on people because they hurt you. After a while, you're going to want to stop getting revenge on people because they didn't do what they said they would do. Well, we're human beings. We make mistakes. We have to stop putting trust in people. They're going to let you down. I promise you, they will. At some point, you got to want something different. If you want to go someplace you've never been, you have to start doing some things you've never done. And I'm not talking about being successful and not ever going to sleep and grinding. I'm talking about the internal work on yourself. I dare you to go to a new level and learn new tools that can propel you into your destiny and that can seal your future, not only for you, but for generations to come. I love you all. We're going to be okay. Keep climbing. So much gold inside of you. That is when the greatness comes out of you. We want to hear from you, purepurposepodcast@gmail.com. Please let us know where you're listening from. Let us know if we can be a resource. And I hope that this journey has been as fruitful for you as it has for me. And thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. Keep climbing.
Next time.